We're going to start by talking about, let's turn that off. Asman watched the stream last night. I got to fix my camera real quick. Its focus is off again. There we go. Asman watched the stream. So I've kind of gone through, I'm not going to watch, I've kind of gone through and caught at least the first parts where they're kind of, he says halfway decent, or he actually reacts. And just kind of want to talk about a few things.
Money, like theoretically.
I was watching at 2x speed, so let me
like put it in
turn
your
that down.
own bank.
Can you? Yeah, he says, can you put the taxes from the buy orders that are in the node treasury in your bank? And you can't. Kind of a harmless comment, but it's just one of the things. Like, he does not know much about the game, and he constantly compares it to WoW. But there is something coming up we're going to talk about probably a lot longer that he talks about. That it's just a frustrating thing for me.
Winstead?
This is the lovely Winstead.
Oh, shit.
So
he,
one of the...
He does say the game looks nice. For the most part, from what I've seen, he's happy with this live stream, which is a good thing.
This looks really
obviously.
nice.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Like, I just pause right here. This looks good. All right.
Maybe I should put my camera over here or something, huh? But, yeah, I agree. So... He eventually gets into this art style thing, which really, that art style thing, I tell you, man, that really annoys me.
What the fuck?
The art style thing makes no sense when he talks about that.
It's very important to keep in
But we'll
mind
talk about that.
that nodes in Alpha 1, the last time we saw them...
So, yes, he says it looks good. He goes to, if we go to Caravansary here, says it looks great.
Oh, I guess that's where Caravans are.
What's going on in here real quick?
He goes to the house at 216,
This
says it
looks
looks
really
good. Yeah, everything looks good.
Jeez,
Everything's
holy
great.
shit.
Looks good. The house does look
Look at
really
that.
good.
Yeah,
But then,
I mean, I think this is
let's
very
get to the
calm
art
and
style.
relaxed. It's nice. It's a little small house, yeah.
So everything looks fine, right, according to him. And then we get to 218.
With actually
Oh my
representing, I
God.
think, what we want out of the node. I mean, visually, it's just, it looks great. Oh, look at a little piglet.
Can you kill it?
Yeah, you might find a
You can kill it.
few little small farm animals to hang out with around the town.
Those guys are great. A little piglet. Talk to me a little bit about what it took to bring this node online and to the visual fidelity that we wanted to.
A lot.
Said
Yeah, I mean, I really think this looks great. I think that, again, like, the one challenge that I think Ashes of Creation has right now is how can they make a game that whenever you look at it, you know that it's Ashes of Creation? Because that's a problem that a lot of these, like, more realistic MMOs have, is that their design is kind of generic.
I just don't get it, man. I don't get this art style debate at all, man. Here's the thing about stylized art, and that's what WoW is. It's a form that has moved away from natural forms and shapes. That's what WoW is. That's why it's distinct. It is much higher. It's much harder to make realistic things distinct because real is the same basically everywhere, right? So I just don't get it. It's such a stupid argument, and I'm annoyed by it. And ever since he started doing this, I get all these comments in my YouTube comment section about this art style shit, and it's just, I find it quite annoying. I'll be honest. I think it's a dumb thing, and I really hope, honestly, that Intrepid doesn't decide we're going to go through every single asset now because Asman said this, and we're going to spend all this extra time making it look distinct when I think it looks fine as it is. And I personally, when you look at the concept art for like Ashes, let's just go to Ashes of Creation, like the wallpapers they have. Good morning, Ryve. I totally agree about the style. Yeah. Yeah. I don't usually get like mad or angry, and I'm not mad per se, but I just find it like odd. Like this to me, like I would see this and say, yeah, that's Ashes. But that's obviously because I've been following Ashes, but that's distinct to me. I don't see how that's not distinct. This I could see like, I mean, you could say like Arcade or something. Like it could, a lot of MMOs, you know, that could be. This because, I mean, we know about Tumok, and I don't think is that actually Tumok? It might be. Yeah, because I follow the game, I would call that Ashes, but yeah, a lot of these, this one I would definitely like, you know, that's Ashes. Now, I can't really say why it is, but I mean, there's some distinct, especially this, like the Riverlands, to me, that's like very clear that's Ashes. Especially you see this is a very distinct animal. I cannot remember the name of it right now, but they've shown it many times. Like that's an Ashes creature right there. We know that. You know, this is distinct to me. I don't see how that's not distinct. I don't get it. It's such a weird argument, and the problem is, and this here is definitely Ashes to me. Just normal medieval, yeah. This is Ashes. I mean, that is 100% Ashes. I don't get it. It's a weird argument to me. But, I mean, this here, because you see the node structure. Why does it have to be distinct? I don't get it. I mean, stylized art can be distinct much easier than realistic. So it's, and then the problem I have with it is not that he has this opinion, but the problem I have with it is all these people that just copy his opinion, that cannot think for themselves, cannot understand the difference between realistic and stylized art. That's where the problem is. Because then I got bombarded with this comment after he started saying this, and I think it's so weird. I just think it's very weird. I'll go back to this.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's all coming together. Yeah, it's the identity. Like, it needs to have, like, a visual identity.
It doesn't.
Like, for example, Valorant has a very strong visual identity. World of Warcraft, very strong visual identity.
It's because they're designed to have that.
See. I mean,
yeah, Style Age is better, but realistic looks better. I feel like it's just such a weird argument. There's so many other things that we could be talking about, and we always have to talk about this art style thing. And I don't know. For me, it's such a small thing. I never really noticed before the minimap, but you can see like a lot more fidelity in the minimap. I just like glanced up there as I was talking. Why is there like a tree on the minimap? That's interesting. Wonder what that is. Like some special tree, or what's that all about? But is that like a stable like icon? I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to move on from the art style. I know Vladis did a whole video on it. I don't get the debate at all. I think it's pointless. I don't want to waste much time on it, but problem is it'll get brought up again and again and again and again. And I really hope they don't spend any time trying to redesign their entire art style just for this one guy. Here's one that's also like a frustrating thing for me. And I'm not mad about it, but I just find it frustrating.
Taller to get bigger, and that has to happen from day one.
Oh yeah. Maybe a tree's here that you've harvested. Yeah. That could be.
You said camp.
That could be because they did chop a tree down earlier.
And then kind of work within those bounds. And you know, there's been a lot of discoveries and pain and tribulation along the way.
Yeah, sure.
This guy just died.
Oh no.
But
it's somewhere around here.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, like it is for.
It's a little bit further.
But
see if I can get to time.
For one, like this update is great. I really love this update already, but one thing I really want to see more of is, or I really hope it's going to happen, is that we get the opportunity to have one big server.
He said this in the last stream, and I just like, I don't get, man. The guy had an opportunity to interview Steven, talked to him for hours. Has watched all these live streams. He just watched the Freehold live stream. You can't have a mega server when people own land in the world. You can't have a mega server with this style of game. You can only have mega servers with theme parks where people don't own parts of the world. Not in a sand park or a sandbox could you ever have a mega server. It doesn't work. You couldn't have this game at launch. I predicted it's going to have 6 million active players. Concurrent, maybe 1 to 2 million. You imagine like how big the world would have to be to have freeholds for everybody if you had a mega server. It's just, I mean, mega servers have phasing. So it'd be like, oh, I got to get in the right phase to get to my freehold. I mean, it's such a stupid comment, and I don't know. To me, he's got such a wow mentality, and it frustrates me because, and I've done videos on this, and in fact, I'm going to do a video where this very topic that we're talking about is one of the featured things that I'm talking about in that video, and I have the script done for that video already. It's going to be coming out in a few weeks. I have a bunch of scripts done, actually, because I've been waiting on the node stream because I didn't want to put out some videos and see the node stream like obsolete a lot of these videos. But anyways, this is one of the things I'm going to be talking about in that video. This basically the video, the title, it's going to be something like things that can't change in Ashes of Creation. One of the things that cannot change is going from distinct servers to mega servers. That can never change. Yeah, just the freeholds alone is the number one reason, but nodes as well. You imagine 1 million people all fighting over how to, the nodes would level up extremely fast, and I don't know. And you'd have one server. You wouldn't have distinct servers. I mean, it's just, dude, it doesn't work at all in this game. He doesn't understand this game at all. He makes comments, and then people come in to the Ashes community completely confused about what this game is. And I think he does more harm than good, honestly. And I try not to be negative. I try not to be negative towards people. I really do. But, man, I wish he would just take a few minutes to educate himself on what Ashes of Creation actually is. It's not WoW. It's so different from WoW. Yeah, the lag would be insane. It's just, I don't get it. But anyways.
Because I think that all of this really cool stuff only really works whenever it's a massive online shared experience.
It doesn't. It makes it's impossible. You can't, the server is not big enough to have 10% or 20% of the player base if you have 1 million people on one server to have all of them have freeholds. I mean, it just doesn't work. It's
like, even if it's layered, that's fine.
Yeah, 10K is a huge server. Absolutely. Even if it's layered, it's fine. No, you can't have layers with this style of game. Mega server is like on a theme park, I think is just fine. In fact, there's pluses and minuses to both systems. It can be one thing about mega server on these theme park games where the leveling is just a rush that people rush through and it doesn't matter. It does make those leveling zones feel more alive because they throw everybody into one zone. And you're not on a server where there's like one person in that zone. So in theme parks, it's maybe a good thing. I don't know. It's arguably a good thing. But in a sandbox or a sand park, it just physically can't be done. Yeah, so I don't know. Really, really bad idea, and just shows his complete lack of understanding of the game. I remember when he played Alpha 1, he was streaming, and I have the clip somewhere in one of my videos, but I couldn't find it before the stream. I was going to try to find it for you guys, but he says that he doesn't like to have long run distances between things. He just wants to fast travel everywhere. It's like, again, it doesn't work in Ashes. Like, just so many things he just doesn't understand don't work in Ashes. What else did we have? $232-ish. There was something.
See, just for the node that you get for buying things?
Oh.
I would use what I received and give those to other people in other means, like through, servitude as a...
Well, mega server ESO has one server for North America, for instance. So you go to a zone in ESO, and basically they open a bunch of channels or phases or whatever you want to call them, shards. But it's just like a dynamic thing where once a channel gets full, they open a new channel. So basically, you're always kind of in a full. It always feels alive. It always feels full in each zone you go into. Just wouldn't work in Ashes. It just wouldn't work because you go to a channel and your freehold's not there. How's that work? You know, I guess you're always going to go to that channel once you put a freehold there. But then, you know, eventually, everybody's going to have their freehold there that can, and then it's just always going to be the same people every time, and then it's still. I don't know. It just doesn't work, man. It doesn't work at all. It'd be so weird. You hop in between. You go to another channel and your freehold's not there, and I don't know. There's no way it could even work. Now this one is it's a small thing, you know, and a lot of people probably even in the Ashes community won't know this one.
Listen, I need some node currency.
Oh. I'm sorry, I didn't know that's what you meant. I thought you meant share as in like me give more resources.
It's good that they have special currency just for the node that you get for buying things. I worry that it won't have long-term value though. If the currency is special just for that node.
It's special for that node type. So like divine nodes, you get favor. It works in any divine node. Military nodes get honor, works in every military node. So it's a small thing. I'm not too worked up about this one.
Okay.
Just shows like he doesn't know much about the game at all.
No, we're good. We're good.
Oh, okay,
Which I don't get how. Like he has been following the
sorry.
game. He interviewed the guy who told him a lot of these things. Yeah, I don't get it, but. Taxes. I don't know if there's too much else. I didn't get like all the way through this, so.
To your node 4, but are using out of convenience, right?
I'm very concerned, like, you know, dropping the memes. I'm very concerned about the tax system. Because I can see people that just turn it up that are like, you know, that basically like you have like 5% of people. Imagine this, right? Or like 5% of people or like 1% of people have all the control on the taxes. And then the other 99% of the people are the ones paying the taxes. And then they're not really able to control or have any accountability for.
Well, there's 85 nodes, and not all of them will be active. There'll be some that will not be active based on the new vassal system. And then you have mayor re-elections every single month. Now, if you had a big guild that has like mayors and like multiple nodes, I suppose they could have like a cartel where they all set the prices, I guess. But if you go and crank up your taxes, you're going to piss off even people in your own guild. So I don't know how long that would last. So I don't think this is a real problem.
For the people who are, you know, people that are running.
Yeah, people can renounce their citizenship. And of course, we found out there's a cooldown to go to another node, but might be worth it if they've cranked up the taxes
People
really
that
high.
are making.
I think it is kind of maybe a problem that they allow you to crank it up to 100%. I mean, that is, I don't know, does any country in the world or any municipality or local or city, state have 100% tax rate? That's insane. I know California has high taxes, but they're not that
yeah,
high.
I mean, like, I could see that being a problem.
All right, he comes back and he had a few more comments about the tax thing.
Or you go to a node, or people do a mutiny.
Yeah. So people basically explained to him what I just said. People can mutiny. People can move to a new node. And he just brushes it off.
I just, like, what I see, how I see these things playing out is a large group of people will collectively control large areas through just like the size of their influence, and then they will effectively oppress everybody else in the area.
I don't see it being,
because that's what happens in literally every single other MMO.
How many MMOs have a system like this? Not very many.
Like in every single MMO. And why does that happen in every single MMO? Because that's what happens every single time in real life.
I mean, he's right to some extent there, but in real life, you know, they've given more controls to give players a way to mutiny than you have in real life. You have an election every single month. You don't have to wait 4 years. There's a lot of ways you can declare war against you could leave the node, go to another node, declare war against that node. If there's a guild causing problems, you can declare war against that guild. You can siege the node and destroy it. You can't do that in real life. So I don't think it's I don't necessarily think that like a giant percentage of the world being like some big cartel controlling the tax rate and setting it super high is probably going to be a reality, but I guess we'll see on that. And then I got to 245. I don't know how much more of this I want to watch, but
selecting.
You guys might not like this, but I'm gonna watch it at 2x speed.
Will lock out the other two paths, right?
And see if he says anything else
narrow, which allows
crazy.
Lots of nodes to carve out lots of niches in the world.
Very cool. And so,
and this goes.
It would be relevant for certain nodes in order to achieve a broader spectrum of upgrade potential within a particular building type to potentially build.
Maybe I should go forward
exactly, right?
to like the important stuff, right? Let's kind of skip through it.
That like everybody.
Here we go.
Fuck your loom, I want a forge bitch. Exactly, yeah. That makes it way more interesting. I think that you have to have a dynamic between like the citizens and the people that are in charge, because if you don't, then it's not really exciting.
Good call. Very cool. All right, let me confirm this. Players will have 2
I don't know what the
million days to
context
provide
was,
resources.
but I guess
good.
maybe I'd agree with that.
And as many in the audience know, we expect Ashes to have a very long and fruitful lifespan as a product.
The 2 million days.
On the maybe conservative side of what we'll actually see overall. But I think it's a worthwhile time.
Isn't that like 5 years?
Are we good with that? What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, 2 million days it is.
5 years? That's a lot more than 5 years.
Where are we going to see this building?
So we've constructed it over here. If you want to follow me this way.
All right, I'm following. I don't normally run in my own town, but I will.
Okay, here we go. Let's see it.
Listen up. I got places to go, people to see.
People to see. You work at the best of the beta.
So you notice there's a gentleman here to talk to. And this
Does he
is
also work for me,
the.
just to be clear? He's a
He does. Technically, he works for the city.
I am the city.
I agree. It's just, I don't mind the guy, and sometimes he has some pretty intelligent thoughts, but I don't know, man. When it comes to Ashes, and maybe it's because I understand Ashes really well, and I know it, and I've read the wiki like 18 times, but it's just like some stuff that he says that are just, particularly the art style has really gotten on my nerves. I just don't understand that. Like, that's one of the things, like, with this game, like, I think the game looks fantastic. If you're complaining about the graphics of Ashes of Creation, like, I don't understand that mentality. I pulled up, let's close all these things out. I got to organize my tabs a little bit here. Where was... I pulled up... Yeah. Here's the WoW. Here's a WoW tree. That's just, to me, you know what that is? That's just lazy. Like, I get that it's aged okay, but if you really think, like, these graphics look better than Ashes, I know art is a preference, but look at the trees in Ashes, and then look at these trees with, like, their 5 polygons and minimal textures. And it's just, I don't understand the mentality. Like, he's played this game so long, it's warped his brain. And then, yeah, the mega server is just, it's so ridiculous that you would think that would actually work.
Players will get to go to donate resources to the construction of the building.
I hope that there are nodes where
I hope so. I really hope that's the case, and it would be good for the game to get that. I mean, Aspen as a whole has been good for the game, even though I'm kind of trashing him, I suppose, a little bit here. He did bring a lot of people in, but I just love to see some of these things cleared up, you know.
where you can
nothing's.
orchestrate.
I don't think anything's going to get him off the art style discussion. But things like Mega Server and stuff, I think Steven could clear that up.
A public execution of real players. You need to have this. You can have like a, some fucking one at the top of a mountain or in like the middle of a swamp. And like, let's say everybody gets together and, it's like part of like a New Year's ceremony that like everybody basically, puts all of their negative energy into one person and then they kill that person. And then everybody can begin the new year with like only positive thoughts and positive feelings. And like, so they do all that thing. Yeah, purge, right? A scapegoat. And so they would have like the...
Yeah, that's something I don't... With Asmon, it's like, I don't think he doesn't understand the pull and the sway he has. And he doesn't understand that so many people just blindly believe everything he says and do not research things for themselves. And that's a problem. In other areas of the world, people not doing their own research and just letting other people form their opinions. And Asmon, a lot of Asmon people that just let him form all their opinions, and that can be a problem.
NPCs like take the person, right? The person would not be in control of their own character, and you would like take them maybe like up because like you don't want to hang them, right? Because like that's just like
I don't know what he's talking about here. I want to see him react.
This would be a good idea. You could peel idea, right? And so you could have like at the end of Spartacus, right, where they had like the line.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about. I want to see him react to the building
in the prison, where they're NPCs
to present with.
And then maybe we'll be done.
Thing. Yeah. So once materials are kind of contributed to it and it's ready to finish, there's going to be any kind of variable from like 15 to 20 minutes to even a couple of days for it to finish constructing, depending on kind of the power that the building offers to the player.
I think that the amount of donations, it should have to be from a minimum of a certain amount of people from the node rather than just have one person contribute everything for the citizenry. Because I think if one person contributes everything, it would be very easy for people to force kind of like their will on the people that are at that node, and it would negatively impact the node by allowing like one person to like affect a node that 1,000 people are at.
I mean, that's probably not a bad take there, but again, we need to see it in game before we can really say things like that either, right?
Yeah, but like, oh, what the fuck?
Now, Bruno and Scott did a great job with
so he did like the animations.
As you will see, you're going to see a
yeah, I thought the animations were really good. I liked them.
Yeah, how does this work?
Of course, how that's a variable depending on the stage of the node.
The workers went on strike.
Yeah, so we want this to be an exciting thing.
Yeah.
So once materials are kind of contributed to it and it's ready to finish, there's going to be any kind of variable from like 15 to 20 minutes to even a couple of days for it to finish constructing, depending on kind of the power that the building offers to the players, right?
Very cool. And James, Adam, Tristan, talk to me a little bit about how you guys go about constructing.
Sorry about the 2x, but I want to get through it.
Sets of building creation and what it takes to kind of,
if you wonder why everybody's talking so fast, that's why.
To present
I watch almost every video at 2x.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a lot of trial and error, but it took a lot of practice.
It's so my fellow content creators, I'm killing your watch time. I'm sorry, but I watch a lot of things at 2x.
Figure out, what the correct size, the buildings and the plots, the walls, the doors, all those things are, and then to dial them in so that going forward.
Yeah, the choppy animation. Yeah, with like the scaffolding going through the roof and things like that. I think part of that is because I sped it up a lot, right? And maybe that's what caused some of the animations to blend together. And then yeah. I wonder if it's just from it being sped up, but either way, once they clean up the animations, I think these animations are ready or fine, and I would play this game right now, and it'd be the only game I'd play. Even in the state it may or may not be in, I definitely would play it just because it's the MMO with the most promise by far right now. It's the only one that's really talking about their game. So we don't really know, like PAX Day and Ride MMO. We don't even know really what those games are yet.
Somewhat plug and play, as long as we're making them to those specs. The big thing is the aesthetic.
PAX Day we know a little bit.
I think being able to watch the building be made is super cool. Yeah, I think that's S tier. Great.
Yeah, I agree. I love the animations, and I'm not like a big animation graphics guy, to be honest, but I think it is nice to have, definitely, and I think they've nailed it. For me, it's like, for me, it'll be game of the year. It'll be game of the century. I mean, it's if they execute on their vision, they have to obviously hit a decent number of things correctly. One thing I've always worried about is, the game, it has a massive scope, and you look at games like Arcade had a massive scope, and a lot of the systems seemed a bit half-baked, so if a few systems are half-baked, I'm okay with it, but the key systems need to not be half-baked. I don't care if Monster Coin is half-baked, because I don't care about Monster Coin. And some of the other ancillary systems, not that concerned. Like the constellations, that seems like a very simple system and should be easy to execute. So not too worried about that, but yeah, I think as long as the game is good, and I just did a video that's going to come out Wednesday. Top 5 ways Ashes of Creation could exceed my expectations, not the expectations of the world, so to speak. And you know, my expectations and my hype level is kind of moderate. I just want a really good sand park. It's polished. It doesn't have a ton of exploits, kind of like Arcade, but Arcade 2.0 with new features and without all the bugs and that, without the pay to win. That's my expectation. If they do that, then it'll be great. Not everything needs to be perfect. Absolutely. BG3 EZW, but this stream was revealing. Yeah. No, I'm super happy about the stream, and I think with the video I put out yesterday, which actually got a lot of views, which is good because my channel hadn't been getting many views. But I knew it probably would because I speculated about the launch date for Alpha 2 a little bit, and those kind of videos usually do get more views. You know, I think I was a little negative in some aspects. I mean, not really negative, just resetting expectations that, you know, it looks like they have a ways to go before they get to Alpha 2. And it sounds like with Alpha 2, they really do want to have a pretty playable game. And there's a lot of people that they want to really, there's a lot of people that have probably bought in during the hype phase that don't understand the game. And so they need to have an experience that kind of suits those people. So 5 to 8 months. Right. I mean, we could be. It all depends on, you know, how much. Yeah, it was really. Yeah, well, I hope so. 5 to 8 months away. Yeah. Yeah, it depends on how polished they want the experience to be. If they really, like, somebody said in my comments, and I think I might agree with this. I think it was Rindal that said this, that they might just have the Riverlands at launch. They might just have Stage 3 nodes at launch of A2. Now, they confirmed, Steven did kind of confirm, let's see if I can find it here. And maybe you guys have seen this, but Steven did kind of confirm that Stage 4 would be the Alpha 2 node stage at the start. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. Somewhere in here. A2 obtains city nodes to start, though assets may still be towns. So actually, that's Stage 5, right? Because previously in here, he had said that A2 will likely start with assets up to town level and introduce the city level. So we might get city leveled nodes, but we will not have the assets for city level potentially at the start. So Stage 5 nodes is basically confirmed for Alpha 2 at the launch. So that I found that interesting.
Work in progress, but
Age of Empires, yeah, I remember whenever it was like part of the castle and then more of the castle.
So Riverlands with just Stage 5 nodes, like that could be 4 to 8 months for sure. You could do that.
Yeah, this is sped up. I noticed.
But that's how
or 5 to 8.
And it's all modular, so we can make these buildings in mostly any size we want. So we could reach all the way up to the sky, multiple floors if we wanted to. Not saying we would, but
new icons for the tank as well.
Right here, we'll construct those pieces for the player, one piece at a time.
Very cool.
I think there should be a prison node. And
what?
The way it would work
Why?
is that the players that were, not this game, no, it's the same thing. So the way it would work is that the players that would get banned or suspended could 2x or 10x commute their sentence by working inside of the prison where their NPC is trapped and they can't leave. And they would have to do like...
So, Arcade, advertisements should be there. That's basically
Menial tasks,
Arcade.
like mining rocks, and then they would have to turn in all of the resources, and they would only get one back as like payment.
Yeah, prison within a node. Yeah, like a military node could have a prison building. But an entire node that's a prison? Like, who's going to run it, and what's the benefit of running it? What do you get for running it?
Then other people could come that weren't prisoners and like throw rotten food at them, and it would show their name of all the people that were cheaters. Like, and it would be real players that could commute their sentence inside of the game and make their bans shorter.
I mean, that's what Arcade had to some extent, but not
Yeah,
quite
we
like that.
previously had a
Just about
different
Stormwind? Yeah,
version
maybe
of
these guys
it.
won't be pussies enough. And number one,
Arcade just Ashes got rid of the prison system that Arcade had, and instead has replaced it with corruption. So I don't think you need prisons.
to do it.
Fireworks playing above the building.
Bug abusers, same
That's
thing.
awesome.
All in jail.
So it's drawing attention.
All
to
in jail.
the,
Put them all in
This
jail.
would be cool,
we have a
yeah.
version of this obviously in
Make them wear different color
one,
shirts
and,
for what they did wrong.
I did like the
that
prisons in
absolutely.
Arcade, like the prison system and the trials, which were done by players, was
Accomplish there.
pretty
This
fun.
technique is meant to more.
One more step. People that use racial slurs, put them in the prison, and then change the race of their character to the race that they were using slurs about.
And just ban them. Just ban them. That's all you need to do. Let's see if there's
So, Chris,
anything
now-
else here.
Well, I hear the artisanship team hooked you up with.
Yeah, imagine if you kill the pets. If you kill enough of them, it turns you into a duck. And you
Let's
can't
go
lose the
see what
node.
he said at the
Another option
end.
to the canon would be a special caravan. Really actually like the community stuff. And you're right. And I don't think that everybody should, like, you should never have mandatory participation, right? Yeah, you shouldn't have mandatory participation. You should have it where, like, people only have to do this if they want to. It works so well, crazy ideas. Yeah, I think it'd be great. Be awesome. Pickpocket amount constantly increases, and there'll be a definite point where it's more.
Yeah, okay. I don't think there's much else there. This was the...
There have been people who are critical of the.
I was going to pull this up, but then I found him talk about the art style in this latest video. So I was going to share the art style thing, but I guess let's watch it real quick.
Style of this game, saying that it's not memorable or that it's lacking. I agree with you. I think that they do need to have more stylistic decisions in the game that make it more standout-ish.
No, they don't
It's also
really.
a problem that I think New World has to even a lesser extent. But it's something that, like, if you look at something made, for example, I think the
Lesser
best example of a
extent.
stylistic.
What's distinct about New World compared to Ashes? I just don't understand. It's such a frustrating thing. So we've talked about that. We've talked about his React. I pulled that up because I was going to find something else. I was going to talk about this a little bit. The questions from the live stream. And like sometimes it's like I'm a little confused at why they answer some questions and don't answer other questions. Because I was going to pull up my question. Because I think Vagnar tries to answer in some way if he doesn't select a question. And they just like never ever select my questions because my questions are usually a little bit deeper and not softballs. And they select the softballs. It just seems to be what it is. But some of these that they don't answer. So I asked how often a metro is going to be actually successfully sieged, because it takes a similar amount of time and resources as it took to develop the node to actually siege it, and the defenders have a considerable defensive advantage. So I asked him, how often do you think, Steven, Metropolis nodes will actually be successfully sieged? Because they've talked about there's going to be recycling of freeholds, but a metro is going to have a lot of freeholds probably because they have a huge ZOI that covers 1/5 of the world map. How often are those going to be sieged? And of course they don't answer it. They almost did select my YouTube comment. They almost did. New World's copy paste. Yeah, it's like a horrible. He's saying New World has more art style than Ashes. New World copy paste everything. It's like, where are you getting this, man? Like, I don't understand it. Yeah, and then my YouTube comment was about the open world dungeons and how you're going to have scaling based on how you did in the previous bosses. Your group will. When somebody comes in, as you're on like the third boss, the boss has scaled up loot table. and somebody kills that group and kills the boss, do they get the better loot table or a normal loot table? That was the question. And a little bit of a complex question, but they don't answer those kind of questions. I mean, if you start going through some of these questions, let's see what Wizzy asked. Watch the leak. Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Like, can we reserve a server as a guild? And the answer, I lost it already. Oh. Is this the same? I guess I got to search. I cannot find. There it is. Have they talked about server reservations? Oh. Oh, okay. So they have talked about that. I guess I've heard that before. So that is actually one where they've actually have answered the question before. But some of these that they tell you they've answered the question, they haven't. They haven't. So that's all. Not a big deal. I just thought I would talk about this question selection, man. So like with my YouTube question, it was a more complex question, and they throw this softball question in. I think last minute, and I get it. Like, I think that the Node live stream was so long that they looked at that question and they probably liked the question, but then they were like, man, this stream's gonna be long already. Steven could answer with a 20-minute response to this one. So let's pick this softball question about the action combat. Have you moved away from action combat? Which was the question. They never were action combat. They were hybrid combat. Guild Wars 2 style. Where the confusion was in the past for me and for others was, what do they mean by hybrid combat? Well, we now know what they mean by hybrid combat is basically Guild Wars 2 combat. So some mega guild could rule the whole server. Yeah, I suppose because they can reserve slots there, right? It makes it a little easier maybe in that regard. But I mean, you got to have your guild all in one server. But the problem is there's limitations to that because the guild size limit. Where's it at? Guild size. The current maximum cap, which I'm sure this quote's old, like every quote in here from 2018 is the quote. Could have changed by now, but the cap is 300. And you only get that if you level your guild up and select the path of size. So if you have a 1,500 person guild, it means you would have to make, 4 guilds and 4 or 5 guilds. All 300 and then get them all on the server. And then what happens, like if there's really popular servers, you better be in there reserving your guild pretty quickly because it could fill up. Let's look at some of these discussion round questions on the forums. I've read through the ones on the Reddit, and I posted some on there. Should I pull mine up? I have my question on there, but I don't think... I posted a bunch of questions on there, in fact. We'll see if they get answered or not, but if they pick any of them. I have a feeling they won't pick any of them, but we'll find out. Where's it at? We could look at those questions too. There's not as many questions on there. There it is. I have my questions on here. You said that castle sieges happen every month. What if nobody declares? There's a 5-minute cast for the siege scroll deployment. Is that subject to the corruption system? Have you finalized whether sieges will be instanced or in the open world? That's a big question that I have. Yes, they're too complex. Yeah, I'm very curious, Bergend as well, about the guild skills as opposed to numbers game, and that's a way they can really like balance things out. Like if you have a 50-person guild, but it's like really buffed because you've been able to maximize guild buffs, that could really offset some of these massive guilds. AOC style can be judged with lack of presentation and development showcases. Yep. Yeah. What are the benefits to in-node mansions? So at one point they said that they have said this has changed, but I think at one point, like at stage 3, you get like 6 houses that would pop up. And every time the node levels, those houses get bigger. And at the metro stage, those become the mansions. So I've always been kind of curious what the benefits to those are. I imagine those are going to be highly contested, just like freeholds are, and I imagine they're going to have a lot of benefits. I'm just kind of curious what those are. So at one point, if you have 5 metros and 6 mansions in each, that's 30 mansions. So very limited supply. But they have said the number of in-node houses has changed, so that could be much different now. They're valid questions. Yeah, I think so. But could big guilds just make a small guild? Yeah, absolutely. They can make small. They can make. I mean, if the guild perks for small guilds are very strong, they could divide out into a bunch of 50-person guilds. But when you start to do that, that's when you're really going to have problems with keeping everybody together. You're really going to have problems with that. So, because some of these huge guilds, if you had to divide it out by 50, you could have 20 guilds to have to manage that, and there's going to be some that kind of splinter off almost assuredly. Yeah, there's going to be infighting if you have to divide it out that small. And the alliance limit is 4 or 5? I think it's 4. So you'd have to make a bunch of alliances too. Yeah, once created, the leader can invite up to 3 other guilds. So it's 4 total in an alliance. So if you had 20 guilds, you'd have to have 5 alliances. It's just crazy. I just don't think you could really make that work. Where was I at? I was going to look at these. We were looking at the Reddit ones first. There's my, that's the one that didn't get picked in the YouTube comments. So maybe Envious will pick that one. Probably not, but maybe. Is there a point you would consider removing some systems because of the scope? Friendly player collision. Like in the cities, it can be a problem with friendly player collision. If you ever played Arcade, I wouldn't say it was like the biggest problem ever, but there was times where it would be difficult to get out of a house or something. If there's like a quest giver inside a building and there's a bunch of people in the doorway with the player collision, it was difficult. In combat, like it's not a big deal, but in cities when you're not in combat, I wish they would just turn off. I'm sorry. I wish they would turn off player collision in Node. I really would. I think that would be superior. New IP. Where's some plans? Siege summons. They talked about siege summons a long time ago. And I'm just curious. I should put some music on. I forgot to put the music back on after the Asmon thing. There we go. Let's go to Oblivion. This is all like Elder Scrolls music. Here's Oblivion. The Oblivion soundtrack. They have not talked about this in forever. I'd love to see them talk about this again. Up to 8 players of the same primary archetype can band together to create monumental effects during the siege. So I've been kind of curious about that for a while now. They need to be in the same group or raid. Should solid leadership, yeah. Should have, yeah. You have to have solid leadership, absolutely. Love to see this development for party compositions, yeah. So they've kind of talked about this like being a summoner thing, but they've also kind of talked about like tanks can do it too, and other classes. So if eight tank archetypes each use one of their summon wall abilities, it might create. So it's not really like a group summon. It's like everybody uses their wall and puts it like in Legos, puts it all together. So maybe that's what it is. Summoners. I wonder, like, because they've talked about this being. Yeah, they've talked about it being 8 primary archetypes. But then they've also said that maybe it's summoners that do it. So there's siege summons and then there's summoner siege abilities. Summoners can create a golem. Tanks can create a huge wall. I don't know. It's a little confusing, and I've kind of like to know more about it. And I also want to know, like, is there limitations, cooldowns? Surely there's cooldowns. The number available per archetype, number active. We've seen a lot of those that launch on a brand new IP. I talked about that. Kind of a technical question here, but is it from basically naked or is it from like the lowest tier? So I think there's a pretty big difference there. If it's from naked, that's not a huge power increase, so you don't have a huge power gap that can be created. If it's from low tier, like the lowest tier level 50 to the highest tier, you could have a giant power gap. Which can be a problem in MMOs. Time to kill still 30 seconds to 1 minute. Yeah, so that's an old quote too. So that's why I asked that. That's a long time to kill. And when they said time to kill, they said 2 DPS kind of attacking each other, not using defensive cooldowns. That's how long it would take one of them to die. Archer siege summon could be a cloud of arrows. Yep. Yeah, a lot of missing info with that one. I'd like to know more about that. Time to kill, I'd like to know more about that. Kind of a small thing, though. So I could see, like, not selecting this or not selecting that. Like, I'm not sure I would even select those questions, to be honest, because they are kind of smallish, you know, in terms of what they're talking about. It's not like a big thing, right? Yeah, there's my node siege one. Apparently people did not like that question. Anyways, yeah, and there's a few other questions in here. Bounty Hunter system undergone any changes? What do we have for time right now? It's almost 9 my time. I think it's a good time to take a quick break, and then we're going to go through some of these questions. There's only a couple pages, so maybe we'll just get through these. I can probably blast through most of this, except for that one, pretty quickly. Of course, that's just a quote tweet or a quote of it. Turn off your XP. Probably not. That's a WoW thing. So let's take a quick break. 5 p.m. there. Yeah. Let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk about those some more. Okay. I should put my camera back where I normally have it. Actually, it might be better on this side. A little more space on that side of the page. Bounty Hunter system. Yeah, I'd like to know if it's undergone changes. Will bard buffs be as necessary as buffs in Lineage 2? Good question. At appropriate level conditions, could two major islands be connected to one another or to a continent by way of the Underrealm? Dude, that would be cool if they had Underrealm connections underneath the ocean. That would be quite interesting. Or maybe you have a tunnel like that was built by the Tolnar or something, like a glass tunnel at like the sea floor. That would be cool. But they're going to be connected through the vassal system, and you could have flight pass between them once you're a vassal. But not like physical land connections. That was one thing, like, I don't know if you guys have heard much about Camelot Unchained, but I backed Camelot Unchained a long time ago. That one's been in development for like over 10 years. And they had this thing, I forget exactly how it was supposed to work, but you could like rearrange the actual land based on things you did. So you could connect islands together and things like that. That's kind of what when I read that I think that's what I thought of as Camelot Unchained. But not an Ashes thing. And of course, Camelot Unchained is a huge disappointment. Very big. Games like Destiny have rare equipment exotics that offer unique abilities, skills, or effects that change. Either somewhat or completely how a class is played. Will there be equipment either singular or set bonuses that offer unique abilities that change how a class is played? I don't think they're going to have abilities tied to gear. But there could be set bonuses that, you know, could definitely change things for sure. And certain unique kind of enchantments and things like that that could affect your build quite a bit. I mean, that's common in MMOs, right? So, but abilities tied to gear, no, I don't think that's definitely not a thing for Ashes. The tank wearing physical armor is not going to play the same way. Yeah, tank would wear physical armor, and tank mage would wear magical. Tank wearing physical. Yeah. No, I think Diggs kind of hits it here. And that's the thing. Like every class can wear plate, every class can wear cloth, every class can wear leather, just like Arcage. Yet again, another thing that's just like Arcage. And of course, for the most part, like mages in Arcage wear cloth and tanks wear plate. But there are situations where you can do it differently. But every class can wear every armor. Every class can use every weapon in Ashes, just like Arcage. But there's differences with the weapons where weapons didn't really. There's an active. There's a weapon skill tree, and there's a weapon spammable attack instead of an auto attack. You actually have to hit the button, which was Q in Alpha 1, and you could hold it. So that's a difference. And then there's procs and things that work with your class kit. So a little bit different from Arcage in that regard. Martial artist archetype type. I could see them adding in a martial artist, like a class that doesn't use a weapon, like a monk. I could see them adding that in an expansion, sure. The corruption be balanced to allow ganking solo players at least once every 2 hours anywhere in the open world, even if they don't fight back. Yeah, if there's a guy out there that's willing to gank somebody, spend 2 hours grinding off corruption just to gank people again, Sure, there might be some players out there that want to do that, but I don't think that's going to be common. Can you see the hunting grounds? Did somebody ask that? Oh, yeah. He asked that in there somewhere? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where this quote came from. There's by hunting grounds, they've talked about hunting grounds. They have talked about hunting grounds. And it's just like hot spots in the world where there's like mob density and there's like certain camps and things. So they do encompass most of the map, but there's going to be like on the Alpha 1, there was like POIs where there'd be like a camp, like a mob NPC camp. That's kind of what I view hunting grounds as. And those are going to be a place where you'll grind for certain things, certain drops and things like that. There might be gatherables in there, but you got to kill the NPCs to get to the gatherables. How are they going to combat griefing? Yeah, I mean, it's just the corruption system, and it's got to be, obviously, they're going to have to tweak it over time to get it to work right, but we're going to have to see how it works. We don't know yet. I have a lot of faith that it's going to work, but I don't know yet. We don't know yet, so. Do they still intend on having a showcase for each class available during the Alpha 2? And in conjunction with that, will we get a live stream explaining that? Yeah, I assume that they'll have a showcase for each class before Alpha 2. I mean, during for sure, yeah. But probably before, I would say. Before even Alpha 2. I wonder if augmentation is going to be in at the launch of Alpha 2. I wonder if I know it's going to be in eventually, but I wonder, I know they've said like the level cap, right, is going to be 35, subject to change. That was kind of leaked at one point. And then your augments come at 20, right? I think augments come at 20. Your secondary class, I think it's 20. Oh, I'm about to search through. That wasn't a good thing to search, was it? Level 25. So level 25, you select your secondary. I'd love Bard Showcase, absolutely. Bard is one that's in, right? But Summoner's not in at the launch of Alpha 2, if I remember right. They said that recently. So we could see Bard before. Yeah, Bard, Cleric, Fighter, Mage, Ranger, Rogue, and Tank at the beginning. Along with secondary classes and augments. At the beginning or later on? I assume they're going to be in there at the beginning. Summoners later in Alpha 2. Let's see if any of these are recent quotes. 18, 20. Yeah, I honestly could see augments maybe not making it in at the very beginning of Alpha 2, but I don't know. Maybe they'll have it, but be like, it'll be very basic at the beginning. Should we watch this one? Let's see what he said here.
And then BlizzBub wants to know about Alpha 2 scope. I assume some features that are listed on the wiki as being in place for Alpha 2 may be added after Alpha 2 begins. What features off the top of your head are being planned for the start of Alpha 2, and what features are probably going to go live after the start of Alpha 2?
That's a lot.
I know it's a big question.
So first, I would say that when we talk about Alpha 2's perspective, it's really focused around core systems and their ancillary counterparts. When we talk about what those core systems are, it's the siege systems, it's the guild war systems, it's the node advancements, it's the story arcs, it's the character class progression, it's the augments, it's our artisanship loops and the gathering, processing, and crafting cycles, it's home ownership, it's vehicles and mounts and any number of professions that exist there. And then also a big chunk of Alpha 2 is obviously content, the ability to
I don't know if he talked about
ensure
augments.
that the
I think he did.
hooks for these quest hubs within the nodes,
I was playing with
the
my
points of
volumes.
interest, are stood up and reflective of the content necessary to facilitate that those story arcs and commissions and buy orders. That's really kind of the
Well, we know commissions and buy orders are in there.
MVP of what we need to achieve in order to.
See, I don't think like that's interesting that because I don't think buy orders had been talked about until in commissions until that last stream. Because these are all probably going to be new quotes. This is all probably a brand new page, yeah. See, I'd actually talked about buy orders and nobody caught on that that was a new thing back then. That's interesting.
To demonstrate the loops, collect feedback from those loops and the players who are playtesting them, and then make iteration as necessary based off of the feedback.
People probably assumed. Oh, thanks for the
That's
follow,
Alpha 2's
Bergen. I didn't see that.
Now, of course,
I guess I don't have alerts
there are a
turned
number
on.
of ancillary systems that we also are developing as part of Alpha 2's purview that we
Should
want to
be
have
on.
available to test as well. However, those aren't necessary in order for us to begin testing. And so Alpha 2 is intended to be a very large section of the game,
See
as
if it
well
works.
as a
Okay, it works.
long testing
I
period.
must have missed it somehow.
And our opportunity
replayed
to
it.
trickle in additional ancillary systems is something that we're going to be leveraging.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been around for a little bit. I kind of started like after Alpha 1, I noticed like everybody quit. And I had a channel and I was kind of like just throwing videos up there. I wasn't taking it serious at all. Just some gameplay videos I had from Alpha 1. And then I started to get serious when I noticed everybody else quit, I guess. And I started doing it, but man, it's been so hard to grow because the hype all went away, right? I put my channel up and started trying to grow my channel at the worst possible time.
Because we want to get
Oh,
into
thank
the
you.
test as quickly as
Yeah, I've had a
possible,
lot of
and also
takes, so you're not going to agree with
cognizant
all
the
of them
fact
for
that
sure.
It's a public test period, and that players are going to
That's
see
almost.
what
I'd be
we're showcasing, and
shocked
it
if anybody
needs to
told me
be
they
on
agreed with
par,
everything I said.
with that public display. So, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think you gave a gist of like what the core game.
Yeah, so there's a lot in Alpha 2, but not all of it's going to be at the launch for sure. Can I save for a spot for after the node reveal? Yeah, I agree. Mage and Freeholds was great. Yeah, nodes was great too. I mean, maybe we could have seen more, but I thought they were great. We're going to see more. This is a 2-hour stream as it was, and they only talked about a small part of the nodes. So they just, unless they wanted to give us a 6-hour stream, they can't talk about everything in one stream. Oh, yeah, thank you. I have 2 different ones. I have a 10-minute and a 1.5-hour one. Oh, thank you, EFO. Thank you. It's nice to get positive comments because there's always a lot of shitheads that leave shit comments. There's all these Ashes is a scam people in my comments section every time, man. After a while, it just gets old. So it's nice to get some nice comments too. Yes, I don't know where this quote came from either. We'll skip that one. He did say he wants it to be a rare thing. Wants PKing to be a rare thing. If they do cause the balancing soft, Steven fix that. Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's the intent of corruption, is for PKing to be rare. He said that quite a few times. Yeah, I'm gonna redo that video before Alpha 2. Once we get all this node information, and once we get much closer and we've had an actual announcement and people are starting to watch Ash's videos again, I am going to update that video, and hopefully I don't have to completely redo it. I can just piece in the new stuff and kind of edit out the things that have changed. I hope I can do it that way. That would be nice. I don't want to have to reshoot the entire thing. But we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I plan to redo it, and I expect it to go much longer because just with like freeholds, like the freehold section of that video is pretty short. And I've got a script written for everything known about freeholds that I think I'm just going to wait to put it into that video and not do a separate video on it. But that script is like 20 minutes long or something. Like, there was a lot on freeholds we learned in that stream that we did not know before. So that video, everything known video for Ashes Creation, it's about to get much longer when I redo it. It's going to be crazy. Bunch of people like arguing. Yeah. Here's the guy that asked oh, this is Triel. Asked quite a few questions. This isn't the big one. There's a bigger one coming up. But Triel has good questions, so let's see what he has. Mechanics are shared across all archetypes, like active, dodge, and block, which are universal. Will each archetype interface with them differently in terms of efficiency or flavor? Like 50% versus 75% damage reduction for blocks. Sure. Yeah, there's going to be differences, for sure. I mean, like, look at, like, dodges in other games. Like, Guild Wars 2, combat is very similar to Ashes. I forget what the rogue class is called in Guild Wars 2, but there's talents you can get that gives you 3 dodges instead of 2. So things like that will definitely, I'm almost certain that's going to be a thing. Like, you could talent out to give yourself more dodges before you have to wait for your stamina bar to, like, if they use stamina for dodge, instead of using half your stamina bar for one dodge, it uses, a quarter or a third. I think that'll definitely be a thing. Battle pet system. Yes, this is a battle pet system. It's supposed to be horizontal. People don't talk about this system, but Arcage had this, right? So again, comes from Arcage, right? But any archetype can use these. This is not summoner specific. They have horizontal progression. So what it does is it takes away from your character and gives some of it to the combat pet. Yeah, exactly what I just said. Combat pets may be tamed. Yeah. So there's another system with more ways to augment your playstyle. The amount of augments that exist, it's not just your secondary at 25, right? It's the combat pets. It's your... Here, let's go to augments. I mean, off the top of my head, you got social and religious organization augments, racial augments. So your racial choice will give you a few augments. And then on top of that, add in combat pets because they give you more horizontal progression, which is just a way to augment, right? So in addition to that, you have the talent system, right? This isn't even, like, the augments aren't even factored in, right? You're to this. It's not called talents, though. What do they call them? Skills? Skill points? Yeah, they call them skill points. So now you have the skill point tree too. You have this as well as your augments, which is every MMO has this, right? But not every MMO has the augment system in addition to this. So you're going to get multiple of these per level. In this example, it's 4, but who knows if that's the actual, thing. But these can level up skills within the active, passive, or combat weapon skill tree. So you have passive, you have active, and your weapon has a skill tree too. Like, there's so much customization. This is a question I've had for a long time. Can players still go wide and get a number of abilities, or go deep and like really buff a few abilities? I've had that outstanding question for a long time. I don't know if I actually have that on my questions still. I have a list of questions on my website. I don't know if I have that one on there. Let me check that real quick. I might add that real quick if that's not on there. So if you go to blog posts, The top 10 questions, blog posts. Yeah, it's still there. It's there. Yeah, I got a bunch I just keep adding in, and I need to redo my top 10 at some point because some of these would make my top 10, and my top 10 would probably drop out now. A few. I just keep piling more in there. So you guys can read through that sometime if you're curious, and let me know if there's any on there that have already been answered by the wiki. I had one on there that was answered by the wiki that I recently removed that I had let slip through there and got onto there that shouldn't have been on there. So definitely let me know that. I don't think some PKers don't care about corruption and probably have strong network. Yeah. Oh, there's the idea that you could have your friend kill you because the best way to remove corruption is to die, right? So that's what people have talked about. You have your friends just kill you over and over again, hold on to your stuff that you drop, and that maybe that's a loophole, but yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that hopefully they have a way around to get around that loophole, right? It's definitely something they got to get right for sure. Faster travel limitations across all the hard and soft travel methods. That's a good question. So we know that there's like faster travel. I don't know why he called it that, but because like a teleport is a fast travel, instant travel, and airships are like faster travel, and flight paths are faster travel. I am curious if flight paths, if you're limited on gatherables too. I know with instant travel you definitely are. But with flight pass, are you going to be limited? Can you not take gatherables on flight pass? I assume you can't, because if you can do that, then it would negate the caravans, and they don't want that, right? Drop. No. Source locations. It's probably in the fast travel. Fast travel. None of these. So the fast travel, they're talking about teleports. They are talking about flight paths here and the airships. So you can't. So that one's been answered. You cannot use a flight path if you have materials in your possession. Yeah, guild members cannot PK each other. Yeah, they would have to drop guild, right? And that's what they should do is put a cooldown on dropping guild and rejoining, or make penalties for doing so. Like that guild member cannot count towards guild experience for the next 2 weeks since he's a new member, or those sort of things. Or alliances, yeah. Yep. So that's one way to eliminate that. Yeah, so that question has been answered. Do you plan on having NPC factions or food chain that will cause certain NPC groups to fight each other? Large dogs or cats hunting deer. That would be cool. I don't know if they're going to. It kind of sounds like that based on some of the things they've said in the past. I don't see them doing that, because they were asked about packs roaming around the world and those sort of things, and it sounds like he wasn't interested in doing that. Yeah, probably. I mean, spiders standing off, you're going to have other similar things with other mobs. I imagine they are. Let's see, what do we got here? I'm losing people here. People are getting bored, I think. So, which is fine, because I probably need to end the stream here pretty soon. I do have 5 people, so I guess that's kind of a minimum of where I would actually be willing to raid somebody. I don't like to raid when I've only got like 2 or 3, but let's see if there's anybody out there that would be somebody that I would want to raid. Somebody that I know. Doesn't look like there's going to be, is there? Nah. I don't see anybody to raid. You're not bored? Yeah. Well, I got to get to the gym, and I also have to. We're doing a bunch of work on the house this weekend, some flooring and stuff. So I want to keep to the stream schedule though, and this is the third or fourth week in a row that I've done this, and I've been sticking to it. So I've got to stick to it to try to grow my Twitch a little bit. My YouTube is in good shape, but I need to grow my Twitch, and kind of made the decision to stream on Twitch instead of YouTube. I tried YouTube for a while. I tried Twitch. I tried Restream to stream both of them. And I want to stick with Twitch because there's a few reasons. One, I often listen to copyright music, and when I'm actually playing games. Now, for something like this, I don't. But so I could stream like this on YouTube and then still stream my gameplay when I actually play Ashes come to Twitch. I've thought about doing that, but I don't know. I think I'm just going to keep all my streaming on Twitch, and that's what I've been sticking to for the last several months. I think I am going to start a hardcore stream here pretty soon. I made a warrior on hardcore. Haven't started playing it yet, but I'm thinking about streaming the leveling of a warrior on hardcore, because for a couple of reasons. I haven't played a lot of warrior in WoW. I've played every class in WoW, but that's the one I've probably played maybe the least, possibly. And also, warriors are supposed to be one of the hardest ones to level in hardcore WoW. So, because they don't have a whole lot of oh shit buttons and get out of trouble buttons. So, I'm going to do a warrior, and I think I might start streaming it, maybe even tonight, depending on how today goes and how much stuff we get done today. And then maybe tomorrow, since I have the day off, and many people in the U.S. have the day off, I might stream it for a good part of the day. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, the reason I'm on Twitch is really the copyright music thing. It's Twitch drops, it's raids, it's the channel points that you don't have a lot of these things on YouTube. If YouTube would like update and get a lot of these things and have something similar to Twitch drops and, things like that. Because, I can't do this very easily. The audio is a little off on mine. I don't know what happened there. But, yeah, I can't do things like that on YouTube very easily for some reason. You can kind of do those kind of things. There is, like, channel points extensions you can get for YouTube. But I don't know. It's clunky. So anyways, I don't see anybody to raid that I really know, which Sunday morning, of course, that's going to be the case, right? So I'm going to end the stream. I do appreciate everybody that turned up, and we had a better turnout this week. We continue to grow this Sunday morning podcast here. I guess it's kind of a podcast. I don't know. Not really a podcast. I just turn the camera on and talk for an hour and a half or whatever. But anyways, I'm going to put this stream ending up. Thanks again for everybody that turned out. Thanks for the follow. Again, Bergund. And go check out Bergund. He does some stuff as well. He streams. And he's active in the Ashes community as well. So we'll see you guys.